Right, Shalom, Shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai Waharakakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. And what I want to talk is about this red Hebrew Edomite, who is hiding himself under the guise of being European or Caucasian or so-called white. The fact of the matter is these are so-called European nations are being dominated in these last days by Edomites, all right? The dominant people of France, of so-called Great Britain, all right? Of Belgium, Germany, right? The dominant people in these lands are Edomites, all right? And since they took the supremacy over these lands and took upon themselves these names, they've done nothing but wickedness to enrich themselves even unto this very day. And here it is, these people, these red Hebrew Edomites, have always claimed to be Christian, but they have not exhibited any of the values that they even claim to believe in, i.e., love thy neighbor as thyself. All they have done is rape, rob, murder, and lie in the pursuit of riches. All right, and that's how Europe has been built up to what it is today. For the rape, robbery, murder, oppression, theft that these people have committed throughout the entire earth. The entire earth. All right, and this is a fact. And what these people would have you believe is that at some point in history, whether it be 100 years ago, 50, 100, 150 years ago, they took some kind of turn for the better, and all of a sudden they became righteous and they stopped oppressing people, they stopped stealing, they stopped committing skullduggery, which is far from the truth. They're still doing it, and that's why the world is in the condition that it is today. That's why you have something known as the third world. That's why you have extreme poverty. These things are not happening by accident. They're happening by design as a direct result of the greed of the Edomite man. He's the head of it all. All right. Job, as it is written, Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? The earth was given into the hands of the wicked. Now, these wicked, these red Hebrew Israelites, they operate out of various different countries, mainly European countries, but you also got America as well, and you got Canada. Those are the main countries which they dominate, own, and control. Now, we can also go into how they place their seed in amongst other nations as well to be like a upper class in those nations, like all the way through South America. The elite of those countries are really Edomites, red Hebrew Edomites that were placed there. There's a word for them in the Spanish. Let me Spanish caste system. There's a word for those people. You got the Espanoles, Spaniards and other Europeans born in Europe. That's the one I want. The Criollos, Spaniards and other Europeans born in America. You got a lot of people today that's running around calling themselves Brazilians, calling themselves Argentinians. They're not natives. They're Criollos, man. They're Spaniards, Red Hebrew Edomites from Spain who were born in the Americas, and so they shed the Spanish heritage and started calling themselves Brazilian. And then you also got the castizos, which are the children that these criollos had with the women of the natives, tears. So that's that point. I just had to bring that out real quick. But what we're gonna focus on is how these so-called European nations, these Hebrew Edomite nations, carved up the world and oppressed it, and are still oppressing it to this day. And we're gonna focus really on Africa because of what happened with the Italian deputy PM, because you got a situation, a grave situation happening that's really affecting politics, which is immigration. You got mass immigration coming up out of the Middle East and coming up out of Africa, okay, into Europe, and it's causing a political stink. Yeah, but what's the reason for people fleeing the Middle East into Europe? The Red Hebrew Edomite is the reason. He's the one that went over to the Middle East and is causing these major wars and events again for filthy lucre sake, man, for money. What's the reason in Africa? The same way. He's the one that's causing the extreme poverty and the wars. All right? Because it benefits him to go in there and then take the resources. That's why the scriptures speak about him that weakeneth the nations. Esau is all about keeping the nations weak with war and poverty. All right? But anyway, this is from the African Exponent. It says why is this so? Italian deputy PM accuses France of causing poverty in Africa by never-ending colonialism. You see, so now these devils, their own tongue is beginning to fall upon themselves, because Italy's coming under a lot of political pressure because they're facing a lot of immigration, man. All right? So now they're going to start pointing the finger. Let's get that in Psalm 64. All right? But they were all in on it. All these Edomite nations are in on the game. Some have benefited more than others. Psalm 64 and 8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Yeah, the world is waking up. Hold on. How has this been allowed to happen all this time? But nobody knew? Of course they knew. These devils have never changed. All right. Italian deputy PM accuses France for causing poverty in Africa by never ending colonialism. And this is something we know. See, sometimes we talk about the wickedness that you Edomites have done in the past, but you're still doing the same wickedness today. All right. It says the row between Italy and France over migration and foreign policy has taken another turn after France summoned Italy's ambassador, saying that the comments made by the Italian deputy prime minister attacking France were unacceptable and groundless. All right. Luigi Di Maio, who is the deputy prime minister of Italy, blamed France for orchestrating the economic mess in Africa that forces Africans to migrate to Europe, and they have had a big role in it. He attacked French policies in Africa, saying that these were part of the colonization process, which France is not letting go of, and this raised the ire of France. Paris and Rome have frequently clashed over immigration and foreign policy. Reuters and AFP reported that European Affairs Minister Nathalie Lassou summoned Teresa Castaldo, Italy's ambassador to France, on Monday afternoon regarding investigative remarks by Di Maio on Saturday. Uh, right, so France has created poverty in Africa, and it's not just France. It ain't just France. This has been a collective effort by all these different Edomite nations, man. The Red Hebrew Edomite has collectively created poverty everywhere. All right, them and their corporations and their governments. All right, that's what Esau does, man. He's a parasite. All right, he's nothing more than a parasite, and a parasite that kills his host. All right, that's why he's gonna have to be ejected. All right, there is no benefit to the rulership of Esau, man. The Esau's rulership doesn't benefit anyone. All right, he's toxic, toxic rulership, man. It says if we have people who are leaving Africa now, it's because some European countries. So who's he talking about? Notice he's specifically saying European countries because they know who it is. All right, the red Hebrew Edomite is responsible for the condition of the world as we see it today. He's responsible, and it ain't a good condition either. All right, I don't care about mobile phones. The condition, the true condition of the peoples of the earth is as a direct result of the rulership of the so-called white man within the last 300-400 years. This man has reshaped the earth in wickedness, man, and he has grounded the people into the dirt, beginning with the Hebrew Israelites, man. That's what this red Hebrew Edomite has done. All right, and these are facts. This is the facts that you can see if you know history and you have your eyes open and you see what's going on. But yet these are the same people that will have these massive conferences talking about how they want to help the world and save the world. In all the movies, they're saving the planet. You know, they're trying to tackle poverty. But every year it gets worse. When are you people going to wake up to the fact that this man, he speaks with a forked tongue? He's a liar. It says if France didn't have its African colonies, because that's what they should be called, all right? Because what they gave these nations their independence, but when they gave them the independence, there was all kind of small print involved, and then after that, they used their military and so forth to, if that don't work, to put in puppet leaders, man. This devil don't stop, man, because that's what they should be called. It would be the 15th largest world's economy. So do you see what they're saying? They're saying that basically France is still living off the oppression of various African countries, man. And it ain't just France. It ain't just France, man. So you see you see how the truth is coming out, man, because now they're attacking each other. All right? Instead of its, and notice he said, look, call it what it is. See, Esau will always try and control the narrative by changing names and definitions. Call it what it is. These are not independent countries. They're colonies. You control them. You're printing their money. You're holding their money. Instead, it's amongst the first, exactly because of what it is doing in Africa. All right, let's jump down here. France's captive policies in Africa have hindered economic growth, and colonialism has always been perpetuated. France controls the CFA franc, a currency used in West and Central Africa, through its treasury. And this is a lot of these countries are they're jakes there, man. Cameroon, Ivory Coast. All right. France is one of those countries that by printing money for 14 African states, all right, prevents their economic development and contributes to the fact that the refugees leave and then die in the sea or arrive on our coast. Luigi Di Maio said, if Europe wants to be brave, it must have the courage to confront the issue of decolonization in Africa. Well, hold on, it's 2019. Why are we now addressing decolonization in Africa? I thought that was all done away with a long time ago. I thought Esau turned a leaf and he's this clean, righteous angel now. It shows you that it's all been a bunch of lies, man. This man ain't changed. All right? This man has not changed, man. Micah 2:1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. And the main evil that this devil works every day is how can I take the resources? How can I take what others have? Yeah? How can I take their labor? How can I enrich myself off the backs of other people? How can I oppress these people? What policies can I put into place? What can I use? Whether it be the sword, foreign policy, what can I use to exploit people? That's the evil. That's the evil mind of this devil. And if you don't believe that, then obviously your eyes are not open to the reality of this world. Right? Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Yeah, they got the structures, they got the military. So they do what they do. And they covet fields, and the more they steal, the more money and power and influence they get, the more they oppress. It ain't gonna stop with these devils. They're not gonna stop. These devils love playing the game, man. Like Mama, what was it? Money Mitch said, I love the game. These red Hebrew Edomites love the game. And to them, when they oppress people and they grind people down into the dirt, they impoverish people, that's them winning the game. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage, man. And that's the history of this devil, man. Why can't you see this? Whether it's South America, America, Africa, Asia, that's the MO of this devil, man. To this day. All right, let's look at the Berlin, the division of Africa, man. Going back into the Berlin conference, man.
Berlin, 1885. German Chancellor Bismarck, the most powerful man of his time, invites to his palace 16 diplomats from the leading Western countries to sit together.
Western countries, because
around a table.
This is why the West, right, is the richest. This is why the West is the most powerful. And when you say the West, you're not talking about the indigenous peoples of Americas and all. You're talking about Esau, Edom. He is the power that is in the West. And he's the one that went out into the world and troubled everyone. It wasn't the other way around. The peoples, the different nations from the East, or the different nations from Africa, the Hamites, the Israelites, they didn't come up where Esau is and try to fuck it with Esau, man. Esau went out into the world and started fucking with everybody else, man. Even into the deep jungles of the Congo, this man was.
Their aim, to divide up between themselves a continent, Africa.
He gave them the authority to divide the continent of Africa, which already had various nations of people living on there. You had Hebrew Israelites living there. You had the different Hamitic nations that were living there. They were even Ishmaelites living there. Who gave this man the power and the right to come and decide that he wanted to just divide up a whole continent to himself? That's because the Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And this man is covetous. Yeah? But he's meant to be a Christian man. But the Bible tells you in the book of Exodus that thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's, man. All right? Again, Proverbs 23:10. Remove not the old landmark, and enter not into the fields of the fatherless, man. You understand? That's what Esau done. He removed the ancient landmarks and decided that this land is now mine. They covet fields and take them by force. This man just sat down in a meeting and just stole a whole continent. Just like that. Some real gangster shit, man. That's some real gangster shit right there. And enriched himself greatly. And we're supposed to sit here and go, that's all right. That's cool. Man.
And they will succeed. On a wall hangs a newly drawn 5-meter-high map of Africa, a huge table, and of course, no black people present.
There's no such thing as black people, man. You had Hamites and Israelites, which are all people of color.
And 6
Red
months.
Hebrew Edomites. That's what they are, red Hebrew Edomites. Esau, Edom.
Of secret talks, noble declarations, bargaining. 6 months to dream of gold, ivory, and all the promised wealth of this new Eden, even though it is still called terra incognita.
Using the peoples to enrich themselves, man. Oppression, man. This is the way Esau runs things, man.
Western countries are engaged in a race for more territories. Actors will interpret the main characters of this untold story. In a dusty corner of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Berlin, a trunk, which has remained unopened for 120 years. Inside, the transcriptions of the Berlin Conference. Every single word pronounced was written down in that protocol. This is the basis of our 90 and 52-minute docudrama telling how the colonization really started. Delving into these archives, worldwide specialists, each in his field, shed light on an unbelievable strategic chess game. A racialist vision of the world deeply engraved in the mind.
Taking the piss, man. Esau was taking the piss, mate. And now you talking about what's the beef. Yeah, man. You devils, man. You devils are something else. You devils are something else, man. There's another article here. How France loots its former colonies. Right? And there's so much involved. Like, I speak to a lot of Jake from West Africa, man. And a lot of them are clued up about what this devil has done. See, a lot of these peoples from these different countries are now being clued up as to how Esau operates, man. You know, how he tries to set up puppet, just like what he's doing in Venezuela. Everyone's waking up to this shit, man. Like, they know exactly what the fuck is going on, man. Because Esau's done it time and time again. How whenever there would be a tribe of people who would wake up to Esau, Esau would demonize that tribe with the rest of the tribes. That there was I think it was one of them one of the Jakes I was talking to was telling me about there was a particular tribe that basically what Esau tried to do was start paying the tribes for their work in part food and part money. You know what I'm saying? And then the tribe was like, hold on, man, just give us our money and we'll go and get what we need. Yeah, because Esau was basically trying to keep them dependent. And then so what happened was Esau went to all the other tribes and said, you see that tribe over there, they're troublemakers and they love money too much. And even to this very day, that particular tribe is looked down upon by the rest of the tribes as being money grabbers. You see how Esau operate? But they were the ones that were being smart. They didn't want to be oppressed. But Esau's good at turning people against you. He's just the devil. And painting someone as being bad when he's the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. Anyway, we try to keep a positive vibe going here at This Is Africa, but every so often you have to come across something that just paints your mood black. And that's what this devil does. When you really understand how this devil operates in the earth, man, it puts a dark cloud on your life, man. You're like, man, this man is the devil. How can someone be so evil in every way? In everything, man. Goldman Sachs came out the other day and was talking about how is curing patients a sustainable business model, showing you Esau ain't got he's just the devil, man. Esau don't care about preventing disease or none of that, or teaching the people how to heal themselves with the medicines of the earth, because you're always going to need physicians, experts, but what you don't need is for people to be hooked on pharmaceuticals, man, and constantly getting MRIs and all this stuff that costs ridiculous amounts of money. But Esau wants that, man. Esau wants people consistently sick and having to go through these high cost procedures and all that. Esau's the fucking devil, man. Oh man. Anyway, let's get back to this article, man. See if I can get through this. Some of you may already be aware of this, but if like us, you're hearing about this for the first time, your jaw will drop. And it probably raised the same big questions in your mind that it did in ours. Incidentally, once you read this, you'll no longer wonder why French presidents and ministers are sometimes greeted by protests when they visit former French colonies in Africa, even if the protests are about other issues. Though what other issues could be more important than one we have no idea? Monetary bankruptcy. Just before France conceded African demands for independence in the 1960s, it carefully organized its former colonies, CFA countries, in a system of compulsory solidarity which consisted of obliging the 14 African states to put 65% of their foreign currency reserves into the French treasury, plus another 20% for financial liabilities. This means these 14 African countries only ever have access to 15% of their money. I mean, god damn. If they need more, they have to borrow their own money from the French at commercial rates, and this has been the case since the 1960s. So this is modern day, man. Oh boy. Believe it or not, it gets worse. Oh my. France has the first right to buy or reject any natural resource found in the land of the Francophone countries. So even if the African countries can get better prices elsewhere, they can't sell to anybody until France says it doesn't need the resource. Oh boy. In the award of government contracts, French companies must be considered first. Only after that can these countries look elsewhere. It doesn't matter if the CFA countries can obtain better value for money elsewhere. And a lot of these countries are just filled with jakes, man. Benin, Togo, Ivory Coast, Guinea, Senegal, Mali, Niger, right? Cameroon, Gabon, Congo, Brazzaville. A lot of these countries are filled with nothing but jakes, man. And it's suffering down there because of this damn devil. Presidents of CFA countries that have tried to leave the CFA zone have had political and financial pressure put on them by successive French presidents. No escape in the CFA zone. Thus, these African states are French taxpayers, taxed at a staggering rate. Yet the citizens of these countries aren't French and don't have public access to public goods and services their money helps pay for. CFA zones are solicited to provide private funding to French politicians during elections in France. The above is a summary of an article we came across in the February issue of the New African and from an interview given by Professor Mamadou Koulibaly, Speaker of the Ivorian National Assembly, Professor of Economics and author of the book The Servitude of the Colonial Pack. And we hope that they won't mind us sharing it with you influx. So here it goes. Oh man, this is Esau. Oh boy. Esau, man. He's just Satan, man. He's just Satan. That's just true. It is the colonial pact that set up the common currency for the Francophone countries, the CFA franc, which demands that each of the 14 CFA member countries must deposit 65% plus another 20% for financial liabilities, making the dizzying total of 85% of their foreign exchange reserves in an operations account at the French Treasury in Paris. The African nations therefore have only access to 15% of their own money for national development in any given year. If they are in need of extra money, as they always are, they have to borrow from their own 65% in the French. They're borrowing their own money with interest in the French Treasury at commercial rates. And that is not all. There is a cap on the credit extended to each member country, equivalent to 20% of their public revenue in the preceding year. So if the country needs to borrow more than 20%, too bad, they cannot do it. Amazingly, the final say on the CFA arrangements belongs to the French Treasury, which invests the African country's money in its own name on the Paris Bourse Stock Exchange. God damn. Ownership of natural resources. It is also the colonial pact that demands that France has the first right to buy or reject any natural resource found in the land of the Francophone countries. I mean, that's that. I mean, that's the pretty. Let's see. The big questions. In what meaningful way can any of the 14 CFA countries be said to be independent? If this isn't illegal and an international crime, then what is? But you see, Esau's the one that's policing the world. So he gonna do what he wanna do. What is it going to take for this state of indentured servitude to end? Well, first of all, the only time all this wicked oppression is gonna end is when Esau is removed from power. Because this man is out of control. Alright, Habakkuk, the second chapter, Verse 5, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, as we've seen, who enlargeth his desire as hell. Yeah, meaning this man is so covetous, he can't be satisfied, man, and is as deaf and cannot be satisfied, right? He ain't never gonna stop. But gathereth unto himself all nations, and heapeth unto him all peoples. He wants all people and all nations under his wicked oppressive rule. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe unto him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. All right? Because this devil, man, I mean, boy. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, and of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness. And that's, you read Hebrew Edomites. You've coveted an evil. See, it's nothing wrong with oh, you see something that someone has, you like it, and you approach them to buy it. And if they want to sell it to you, then fair enough. They got a sheep and you want some sheep, you want, hey, can I buy those sheep? Now, but when you got that evil covetousness, meaning you're gonna take that sheep by any means necessary, that's evil covetousness. Like if you see a guy's got a car, yo, you like that car, yo, can I buy the car? And he says no, okay, fair enough, you leave it. But Esau, nah, man, he gonna find a way to get that car, man, because he's evil. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high. And that's why you have the first world. That's why it says France is one of the top 5 countries rather than in the bottom 15, because he's this evil covetousness, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil, that he can never be poor, that he can never be down. Yeah? So they steal. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul, because all this wickedness that Esau's done is going to come back to him. This is Sirach 10 and 9. Why is earth and ashes proud? There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man. For such an one setteth his own soul to sale, because while he liveth he casteth away his bowels, man. There is not more wicked thing than a covetous man. And that's the red Hebrew Edomite. This man steals continents, man. This man impoverishes people, man. If we go into the island, there's so man.
We economic hitmen have managed to create the world's first truly global empire, and it's basically a secret empire. We do it many ways, but principally we identify a country that has resources our corporations covet, like oil, arrange a huge loan to that country from the World Bank or one of its sisters. The money never actually goes to the country. It goes to our own corporations to build big infrastructure projects in that country that help a few very wealthy people, but don't benefit the majority of the people who are too poor to buy electricity or have cars to drive on the highways, and yet they're left holding it.
To around the world, you either got super rich natives or super poor. There's no in between. This is why, because of the way Esau's got everything running.
Huge debt that they can't repay.
Doesn't want to play that game.
So we go back
and fit his people as a whole. Well, you're gonna see what happens
at some point and say, you know, you can't pay your debts. Give us a pound of flesh. Sell your oil real cheap to our oil companies. Vote with us on the next critical UN vote. Allow us to build a military base in your backyard. Something along these lines. And when we fail, the jackals go in and either overthrow or assassinate these leaders. And if the jackals fail, as they did in Iraq, then we send in the military. I don't think the failure is capitalism. I think it's a specific kind of capitalism that we've developed. We've created what I consider a mutant, viral form of capitalism.
And what it is the covetousness, man. The evil covetousness of you red Hebrew Edomites that is constantly expressing itself. Now in the modern day world, it's expressing itself through the corporations. Before the corporations, it was just businessmen like the East India Company and different merchantmen individually. Now they come together.
And this mutant form of capitalism, which I think is really a predatory form of capitalism, has created an extremely unstable,
the prey and the animals and the plants,
unsustainable, unjust, and very, very dangerous world. I've met a lot of terrorists. I've interviewed them for books. I've never met one who wanted to be a terrorist. They're desperate people. If we want to get rid of terrorism, we must get rid of the root causes, that cancer that is destroying.
Hebrew Edomites, man. You're wicked. But, you know, I just wanted to bring that out because you got a lot of people that they think that Esau's evils are in the past. Esau's evils are in the past and they're today. And they're going to be tomorrow until this man is taken out the way. This man ain't changed, man. All right? Check the statistics and you'll see. All right? So with that, I'm going to say shalom.